Sam, I see that you're on. You got your camera and your mic working again? Okay, yeah, I see. I guess that's a no. So
Yes, that's a no.
yeah. Yeah. Hey, good morning, John. I see John's joining us. So good morning or good afternoon.
Good morning to all.
It's so easy to confuse this hour with the morning. But as others are joining us, and thank you for those that are already on, it is time to call to order the oldest Lions Club in the world. So let me say that and say that I'm Rudy Munguia and the president of our Austin Founder Lions Club. And thank you all for joining us. And so we are going to have an agenda. We have an agenda and we are going to proceed. And although we've heard the Zoom procedures each time, I think it's always good to be reminded. So Mark is our host today. So Mark, would you remind us about our Zoom procedures, please?
Just want to remind everybody, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself because sometimes there's some background noise that you don't realize and it interrupts the person who is speaking. So if you're not speaking, please go ahead and mute yourself, but let's get on with the show. All
right, thank you. And we'll proceed then with our Pledge of Allegiance and pledge to the Texas flag. This morning or this afternoon, Gloria, my wife Gloria, is going to lead us in both the pledges. So as you are able, if you will please stand, we will have the words put on the screen and then Gloria will lead us.
Right?
Yes.
All right. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Yeehaw!
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's see if, let's take a moment and see if we have guests and we want to introduce them. I have limited screens on my computer. So Mark, I don't know if you have access to all the screens, but would you help me identify if we have any guests, please?
Sure, I think I can see everybody. I don't see anyone raising their hand. We have our speaker, of course, but she'll be introduced momentarily.
Exactly. All right. Well, we'll go on with our agenda. And again, thank you for all those that are joining us today. Let's see. We have some announcements, and I want to begin with announcing that tomorrow, this is a reminder that tomorrow we do have our Meals on Wheels service project. That will be at 8:30 in the morning, from 8:30 to 11. We, I believe you should have received a notice concerning this and asking for volunteers, and we've had wonderful response. We've had 11 respond to our call for volunteers tomorrow. So thank you, all of you that responded. Plus, we have our 11, and we have 2 more Lions from the South Austin Lions Club. So we're going to have a good representation tomorrow. And it's good because Alan Ford will be videotaping a portion of our work tomorrow. And we discussed this last week. You may remember that we want to edit our work, our service project there at the Meals on Wheels, and send it to the Lions Club International to show during the convention in June in Montreal. So all of that is kind of in the planning stage. We'll see how it goes tomorrow and then proceed after that. Okay. Another announcement.
Rudy, might I interject there, please?
Yes, JP.
Just be sure everyone who comes that has any type of Lions paraphernalia, a vest, a shirt with a Lions logo, a cap, anything you have that shows Lions Club activity identification, because again, we're videoing this in the hopes that our video will be included in the service project showcase during the international convention. There's no guarantee that we'll get off the editing floor, but we're going to try to put that together. And it's so important for us to identify who we are and what we're doing in the community, especially during this pandemic period. But if you don't wear your vest, identification, shirt, cap, something, you'll just look like another person down there. So whatever you have, wear it.
Well, thank you, JP. Yeah, we were just in conversation before the meeting. We were just saying that those that might have a vest, an extra vest, that would be willing to let us use it for tomorrow's occasion. So we're but thank you for that reminder. And which also, I guess, for safety concerns and the pandemic, to further confuse the issue as to who's behind the mask, we will be needing to wear our face mask as we provide the service to the cars and load the cars. So we'll that's nothing unusual. We've been doing that now for a while. But thank you, JP, for that announcement about any logo that might show concerning our Lions Club.
Rudy?
Yes. Yeah.
Gaylord, I'll just add to what JP was saying and you were saying. There's an awful lot of business leadership represented by the workers at Meals on Wheels. And it's amazing to talk to all these good citizens from HEB and other organizations. Oh, you're with the Lions Club. So it even spreads goodwill, and I think some good recognition of the Lions Club among those others that are working and loading as we are too, to be identified.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, well, we don't look like a billboard, but we're certainly happy to advertise our Lions Club and the Lions Club logo. So let me move on to the next announcement, and I'm going to ask Mark for help. Ann Ward, Lion Ann Ward, did a wonderful, I guess, ad. I guess I'll just call it an ad, and you can see it there. Mark is bringing it up. This ad is to be, it will be part of a program brochure that is going to be at the state convention in Waco in May the 20th through May the 23rd. All of this that you're seeing was prepared by Ann using photos from activities that our Lions Club has been involved in, as well as listing the activities and other information that is shown there on the list. So I want to share that with our club. This ad was approved by the board a little while back, and so thank you to the board and thank you to everyone. That special thanks to Ann for this wonderful ad that will be shared with all the Lions that attend the convention in Waco, May 20th through May 23rd. Okay, thank you, Mark, for that. And one of our past meetings, I made an announcement concerning the Texas Lions Camp and our involvement during the summer. And it turns out that I might have been a little bit ahead of the game. I had announced that we would be serving as a greeting committee when the youth at the camp arrived in June. It seemed like because of the pandemic, that has been a past tradition, but not this year. So want to take that portion back that I announced. The Lions Camp in Kerrville will still be hosting youth, but hosting them with a little bit different procedure, and families will now be part of the youth camp. But in any case, our club's participation will not be as it has been in the past. So just wanted to correct that announcement I had made a little while back. And concerning along that line, one last announcement. We are still looking for an opportunity when we as a Lions Club can meet, have an in-person meeting again. It may be around the corner, but it isn't here yet. So I just want to kind of provide periodic updates on that, because I know we have kind of had that cabin fever for a while, but we still want to maintain safety. And so that's where we are right now. We will continue meeting on Zoom until it looks a little bit more favorable health-wise. All right, now we're moving on to birthdays. Oh my goodness, look whose name is on the birthday list. Tomorrow, April 23rd, Lion Bill Anderson is having a birthday. So happy birthday to Bill. And then Saturday, April the 24th, Lion Rudy Munguia's name comes up, and it just is a sign that the old get older. And so just please to celebrate my birthday. We're in the Lions cap again this year. So yay, happy birthday to our birthday boys in this case.
Rudy, this
Yes,
is Ann.
yes.
You
Yeah.
share your birthday with Carolyn Wright, our member in San Antonio.
Oh,
Her birthday is the 24th also.
well, thank you so much. I somehow missed that. And Carolyn is one of our members. She participated in the workday at the Texas Lions Camp. And so happy birthday to Carolyn as well. And yay, do my little boogie woogie here again. So, all right. I hope I didn't miss anybody else. Okay. Every once in a while, we get the pleasure of having a special, I don't know, a little presentation about the history of our Lions Club. And so we are fortunate to have Alan Ford today, sharing a little bit about the history of our club and our involvement with the community. So with that, Alan, I'm going to ask you to pick it up from here. And thank you so much for doing this, first of all.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you. I'm going to try to share my screen now and see if we can get to the right place here. How's that look to everybody?
I don't think we're seeing.
It
we
looks
see
terrible.
you.
We can see you.
Uh-oh. That's no good. What am I doing wrong, Mark? I'm
Just click on the share screen at the bottom
okay.
of your thing, and then look at the big pane of your possible screens.
Oh, okay.
Choose the one you want, and then click.
Okay, that's the step I missed right there.
Yeah.
All right. How's that?
Just a minute. Here it comes. There we go. Now we can see it.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. Yes, we're going to go way back in history to one of the first really big signature projects that the club has done, but it will, I think, show you what can be done with some vision, imagination, and dedication if you apply the assets that we try to pool as a club, and that's combining our time, our talent, and our treasure. What I have is I've got a little written history here that I want to use as a go by, but I put together some slides because I found some pretty good old pictures of the way the golf course looked in the early years. And first, though, I want to cover a little bit of history to set the stage. You know, the club wasn't chartered until 1916. Back in 1898, former mayor of Austin named Lewis Hancock, who was a banker here and was involved in several other business enterprises, gave the first demonstration in Austin of the golfing arts, as it was called then. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would agree that to them, it's still an art and not a science. Maybe it is to the pros, the science. But anyway, from 1899 to 1900, he and some other folks established the Austin Golf Club, which eventually morphed into the Austin Country Club. Well, by 1924, the Roaring Twenties was in full swing. Everybody was in their post-World War I high, and Austin population had more than doubled, I believe, to about 40,000. Austin Country Club was improving its golf course, which was out there at what's now known as the Hancock Golf Course, east of the Hyde Park subdivision. And they had hired a young pro named Harvey Pinnock, who became a legend in golf. Well, the Austin Lions perceived that there was a need for a public golf course, and they had the backing of the Austin Country Club. The question was, where would they put it? Well, I guess a lot of people knew that in 1910, a regent of the University of Texas, George Brackenridge, who incidentally served, maybe accidentally, served on the Board of Regents longer cumulatively than any other person ever has, donated 500 acres of land upstream from Austin to the university. And it comprised the area that's bounded by the orange stripes here and bounded by the river. This sweeping, curving thing you see over here is the right-of-way of the old International and Great Northern Railroad, which is now the MOPAC. And this area in here was the then predominantly African-American community known as Clarksville. As you can see, there wasn't a whole lot out beyond there, but out what we now know as Lake Austin Boulevard ran the Austin Street Railway, which was the streetcars that ran out to the dam. This was the old dam that washed away before the Tom Miller Dam was built. So on April the 15th of 1924, a committee from the Lions Club comprised of John H. Tobin, A.W. Griffith, and Frank Rowe presented a proposal to lease a portion of the so-called Brackenridge tract from the University of Texas for the purpose of developing and operating a golf course. And I did want to mention that Tobin was a charter member of the club and A.W. Griffith was the charter president. I believe Frank Rowe joined later, but at the time, this was a committee of people who were not serving as elected officers of the club. They were the golf course committee. The regents voted, subject to approval of the Attorney General, to lease the property to the Lions Club for the purpose of operating a municipal golf links. And you can see there the terms of the lease. $60 a year for what amounted to about 147 acres. There was a provision that if the university had an absolute need for some of the land, they could terminate the lease on 1 year's notice, but it was to be for a period of 25 years. On May the 23rd of 1924, the officers of the Austin Lions Club formed the Austin Municipal Golf and Amusement Association, the AMGAA, a Texas nonprofit corporation. And on May the 31st of 24, Regents Chairman J.L. Stark executed a lease to AMGAA, quote, for the purpose of establishing, conducting, and operating golf links and grounds suitable and appropriate for the game of golf and such other outdoor games, amusements, and recreations as may be wholesome and proper and as may not be objectionable to the university. Well, over the course of the next several years, the Lions went to work. The AMGAA issued bonds for the purpose of raising money to improve the course. And in 1924, they built and opened the first 9 holes. I've got some neat pictures of some of this later. And in 1926, they moved right along and opened another 9 holes. These are some pictures that the Austin History Center has that show what was going on out there. And this was kind of hard work clearing that land. This is a picture that is captioned, "Everybody pull hard, Austin Lions Club, a hard pull on fairway number 10. And you can barely see, it's not like there are a bunch of lions out there actually pulling though, because there's a bulldozer on the other end. You can see in this picture over here. This was clearing fairway number 10. These are some of the people who were working on the clearing. I imagine some of them were people who lived over in Clarksville. That's a pretty heavy duty chain they've got there attached to the bulldozer. So what did the course and golfers look like back then? Well, this is what it looked like when you arrived. Apparently this was the parking lot. And there was a little sort of a kiosk thing, I suppose, where people checked in there. You can see there wasn't any pavement. I think Tommy Cowan's Model A is probably parked out there somewhere. And this is a well-dressed golfer back in the day, getting ready to tee off. Here are some others getting ready to go. And this is a look at what the course looked like. This is fairway number 5. You can see a couple of golfers way down there in the distance. What else can you not see? Those empty hills on the other side of the lake, right? Now, of course, they're covered with big houses. This is fairway number 6, looking toward the green. I'm not sure whether that's a rock wall or what. It looked like you had some pretty heavy vegetation to cross on your way down there. This is fairway number 1, looking toward the green, which is down in there somewhere. We don't have a date for these pictures, but I'm assuming they were somewhere in that range of 1924 to 1930, somewhere along in there. This is a good one. The caption on this picture is just "Avoid this on fairway number 2." That's not only a sand trap, that's more like a gravel pit. And then this one is labeled 30 feet in front of the number 9 tee. I would say 9 times out of 10, I'd probably put my tee shot right down in there. Anyway, further development. In August of 1929, they issued another round of bonds. By the way, those others were retired and burned ceremoniously on the course in 1926. So the course was a success right away. In 1929, they issued new bonds looking forward to constructing a clubhouse. Y'all remember what happened in October of 1929? I don't suppose any of you were actually around then, but
Market crashed.
probably recall, yes, the market went to heck in a handbag there. Nevertheless, they completed and opened the clubhouse for use in about 5 months. In 1936, the university agreed to extend the lease term of the property, and on December the 17th of 1936, the lease was transferred to the city of Austin. The city then agreed to pay off the remaining bonds, install a sprinkling system to cover all the greens and fairways for a 19-hole golf course. That apparently is a typographical error in the deed transferring the improvements, but it does say 19-hole. And of course, you'll see in a moment here, they did have a 19th hole in the clubhouse, I think, and maintain a standard golf course. In 1937, the club deeded the improvements to the city, and the improvements, and this is the club president at the time, whose name escapes me, passing the deed to the city manager. The improvements included the brick veneer clubhouse with all the furniture and fixtures, including piano, soda water equipment, beer dispenser, and merchandise, a 2-room dwelling for the groundkeeper, all lawn and fairway mowers, a mule shed, and 2 mules. And they estimated the value in the club's history at that point in time as about a $75,000 investment. That I believe would translate into about $1.4 million in today's dollars. This is what the course looked like in 1939. It was starting to clean up a little bit, and you can see the good old clubhouse right there in the middle. It looks like you still had to come in some distance. Maybe there was parking over in this area. I'm not quite sure about that. And you can see that the appearance of the course had improved and golfing attire had gotten a little less structured and formal. There's also a lot of evidence that a lot of ladies were out there golfing from the get-go. In 1941, this is another view looking up at the clubhouse. Sorry, that's not a very good picture. And the clubhouse was used for a lot of different social events over the years back in those days because there weren't many other places. This is a picture of a dance, probably for a Christmas party, December 22nd of 1943. I don't see a lot of decorations around. Of course, that was during the war. I wish we had more pictures and knew more about some of the activities that took place out there, but I think there were weddings and other things. So this is what the clubhouse looks like today. There's a nice marker out in front with a lion on it, and it indicates that the course was constructed by the Austin Lions Club in 1924 and donated to the city of Austin in 1937, and lists the officers and directors of the AMGAA and the club, I believe. Those are the ones that are included there. Actually, that's an accumulation of some people over time. Now, a couple of interesting things happened after that. By the way, the AMGAA was dissolved in 1938, having served its purpose very well, and the city has operated the course ever since. But in the early days, in the 40s, it was common for African Americans to work as caddies at the course. And in those days of segregation, they were not allowed to play there. In 1951, there had been some pressure to build a separate golf course. And Councilwoman Emma Long suggested that African Americans be allowed to use the existing public courses in lieu of constructing a separate facility. And later that year, according to some scholars, Lion Muni became the first verifiable desegregated municipal golf course in the Deep South. This was recognized in 2009 by the placement of this historical marker by the Texas Historical Commission. Actually, it indicates on there were two black youths that I believe had been caddying out there one day, who kind of forced the ultimate decision by walking onto the golf course and playing golf. And there was a lot of frantic calling among city authorities, and somebody in authority, perhaps the mayor or some of the councilmen, said, let them play. So that became a fact. Since then, the course has been added to the National Register of Historic Places for that very reason. This was placed in October of 2016. The other thing that's been going on ever since that lease had been extended to 50 years from 1936 is that the university has been eyeing the property out there and saying, well, we really ought to make better use of that. And I can appreciate the trustees' dilemma in a way, because they have a fiduciary responsibility to manage the assets of the university for the maximum benefit of the university. However, there are a lot of reasons that that golf course also benefits the university. And consequently, ever since that first lease renewal came up, there have been efforts, community efforts, citywide efforts, sometimes nationwide efforts among golfers to save Muni at the heart of Austin since 1924. This is in 2017, there was a Save Muni event out there, and Jerry Jeff Walker was joined by Ben Crenshaw, joining forces to try to help rustle up some support for that. Anyway, the course has survived these several challenges, and in 2019, the regions voted to allow the lease to expire at the end of the current term. That was in May of 2019. But since then, at the city's request, the lease has been continuing on a month-to-month basis. And the city would like to purchase the course, but the last I heard, they considered the UT asking price of almost $110 million a little too high. Some of you will remember that from 2009 on, for several years, we had an annual golf tournament out there in honor of the late Willie Kasuri. And it was a great place for that. And we all have a lot of great attachments to that place. But again, this shows what can be accomplished if you have dedication, in particular, over a period of time by people who also have vision and imagination. And we pool our time, our talent, and our treasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. That was that's a wonderful reminder of a portion of what our Lions Club has done within the community. And in this case, for those that love the game of golf. So thank you, Alan. That was wonderful. That takes a little bit of doing to prepare not only the information, but the pictures, the photos. And I don't know, when was the last time you played the golf course, Alan?
Last time we had a tournament out there, I guess, because that was usually my annual game of golf.
Okay.
But I will say, the Austin History Center has some fantastic pictures available online that you can search by subject, and there are thousands of them. And it was a lot of fun collecting some of those. And actually, there are probably 3 times as many pictures of fairways and greens and things out there as I chose to show.
Well, thank you again. Before we move on to the next portion, want to take a moment to recognize Dr. Elizalde. I believe she is joining us today. If I am reading the pictures, I see her now. So Dr. Elizalde, welcome to our meeting. It's always good that you're able to join us, as busy a schedule as you have.
Just wanted to drop in and stay connected. We appreciate everything you all do. So thank you so much.
Great, great, great. Okay, well, we're ready to move on to our program, and today's program will be introduced by Lion Roberto Martinez. So, if you will, Roberto, can I pass this on to you, and you take it from there, please?
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a go.
Okay, in the early 1990s, I met Ofelia at an Austin Interfaith meeting. And Austin Interfaith is an organization that fights and advocates for the poor and the needy in the community. And we were discussing what injustices were happening in the poor communities. And I heard this young lady say, the city is doing what? And the city and county are not doing anything about it? We'll see about that. And so I got to know Ofelia, this personal, caring mother and community leader. And together over the years, we work with Austin Interfaith to develop programs to help the poor and the needy. We help with the summer youth employment program that the city and county are doing. And every year they hire 700 youth, 14 and 15 year olds to work for the summer for 5 weeks and earn $600. And we also help through Austin Interfaith form the nonprofit organization called Capital Idea. And that helps mothers and fathers who would not plan to go to college get an associate degree. They pay for tuition, travel, and childcare. And over 500 or 600 now have received their nursing degree through Austin community colleges. So we have been helping through those organizations, Ofelia and I, fighting. And now she's an elected AISD board member. And so she's now fighting for education for the children, our children in the community. So I'm honored to introduce my friend, my partner in crime, Ofelia. Welcome, Ofelia.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I appreciate it. And thank you all for the invitation. So Mr. Robert mentioned how we met years ago in the early 90s. That was the beginning of my journey as really stepping out in faith. I am visually impaired. At that time, I'd had kept that as a secret from my family, my coworkers, and my community. Austin Interfaith, I was a leader working with them 10 years, and they never knew that I was visually impaired. I kept it a secret because I felt like people would treat me different, less than, would not be heard. And I feared for my 3 daughters who were young. I became a widow. My babies were 6 months and 4 and 5 years old. So I didn't want anybody to know that I was visually impaired because I feared I couldn't protect them. And so, you know, through work, coming to the schools, when my daughters started inviting me to go to their school, I was terrified. I chose that title, you know, being a visually loss of vision became a blessing, because had I not become a widow, I would have never been forced to talk about my vision and to accept that loss. Although it took me years to do that. I relied on my husband for everything. And so we think our spouses will be there forever. We are not prepared for that kind of loss. So when that happened, I was in total, oh my gosh, it was just a total 2 years of darkness. I did not know how to come out of that. I didn't know who was going to take care of me, who was going to guide me, who was going to tell me what to do. So I never thought for myself because I never had to. And so when I started going to the schools and as a parent, I feared even being in the school. I always felt intimidated by people that had more education, the teachers, the principal. I felt like I didn't belong there. I graduated from public schools here in Austin at Travis High School, and no one ever knew that I was visually impaired. When my mother did take me to the doctor in the 3rd grade, they told her I was just clumsy. So I believed I was clumsy and got spanked a lot for not paying attention. So I feared school. All my 12 years were bad because I ran into people all the time. So I'd never like to go to school or do anything outside of my classroom. But what happened was I met Austin Interfaith at Our Lady Guadalupe, where I'm a member. And they talked about education at the pulpit. And I had been elected PTA president because I had never missed a meeting. Little did the principal know that it took all the energy for me to be there. And I really could never tell him what I was learning because I was so afraid of just being there. But I wanted to be counted so my children, my daughters would get their points for prizes, and you know, that was the deal, that they wanted me to come so they could get points. So I was terrified of even talking, giving eye contact, talking to people, because again, I just felt I had nothing to contribute. I graduated, but I felt I learned nothing. I had never been around other people. I was always home. After going to work, I would just be home. So I did not know how to socialize. Austin Interfaith, as Mr. Martinez said, we did a lot of great work. But the most important work of Austin Interfaith is they invested time to talk to me, to get to know me, to help me figure out why was I so afraid. And not even asking me, why am I afraid? But asking me, why did you say you want to be PTA president? What do you want for your children? What are your hopes and dreams? And when they started asking them, I didn't know what to say because I had never thought for the next day or what could be in the future. So I began challenged to begin thinking for myself and thinking about dreams for my children, and not only my children, but all the children at Sanchez Elementary where they went. How could I help make education experience a good one for them, that they would not repeat my story of not wanting to be in school and being afraid and not having a good memory of school. And so it was like going back to school. I went back to school with them, went to school every day with them as they graduated. I retired in 1995 and just went full-time to school as a volunteer with my children. And I had them at one time at 4 different schools. So the blessing was that it challenged me to step out and to get out of my comfort zone. And so I have learned tools that I try to teach other parents who felt exactly today. There are still parents that feel the way I felt. They feel that they didn't get the education to learn how to participate. There's a lot of parents in my district. District 2 is east of I-35 from, I believe it's 5th Street to the north, and almost Knuckles Crossing to the south, right before Slaughter Lane. East I-35 is the boundary to the west, and 183 is the boundary to the east. So it's a big area, and this is the area I grew up. I started there in at Sanchez Elementary in East Austin and was there 10 years and moved to Dove Springs. So I am honored to work in the same community that I raised my children. And I experienced the same struggles parents experience. So now as a trustee, I am able to really continue this work. For one, it's just continued having those relationships. I've been doing this 30 years. This is ministry work. It's not, the reward will be later. I hope that that this is all going to be at the end of whenever God chooses to take me, that I am able to say, at least I did something to help people. And then it's not so much just giving them the help, it's also teaching them how to help themselves. How do we teach others to fish? And so, I'm sorry, we have our dogs that just came out. So this work has been very rewarding, meeting a lot of amazing people. I have no problem asking questions. Thank God, I don't have the fears that I had before. I have no fears. Thank God, because I think this work is hard work, and I love to work where there's the most challenges. My district is the most challenging district, has the highest poverty. Most of the students, the schools are 90% free or reduced lunch. The pandemic has really put us a whole year behind. There's been so many families that don't have the education to apply for other jobs. So there's been a struggle with finances, and that has caused struggle on families to getting their children back to school. So there's a lot of work for us to do as community. And so one thing I'm doing is really trying to engage with neighborhood associations, the churches, the community around our schools, so we can collectively come together to figure out how we can bring our students' academics to the highest possible academic level that they are and can reach. It's just a matter of us coming together and figuring out what is it that we can do outside of the community to support our schools, our teachers, so that our schools can go back to, well, what I'm telling my district is I want my district to be a blue district. The blue district is a blue ribbon school where it is nationally recognized, because we have the talent in our students. We have the untapped talent in our parents. There's just the time that we have to invest to bring them back together and to give them that hope that everything is going to work out, and that together we can make sure all our students have the best education experience. So that's my goal as a trustee, and it's just continuing the work and trying to just build relationships throughout the District 2, so that we can accomplish this together, and I know we can do it. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Ofelia,
Yes.
could you do me a favor? Go ahead and explain the physical limit of vision that you have to help.
Okay, so I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is tunnel vision. It's very blurry, and it won't get better. When I found out, I had gone to apply for a driver's license. There's a lot of humor to my experience. So, but when I went to get a driver's license, my husband was working out of town a lot, and he left me a car, but I didn't know how to drive. So I went to the DPS to try to get a license, and I had to do that vision exam, and I couldn't see nothing in there. So they said, oh, here's a form, go see your doctor and bring it back. Well, I was like, I need a license like right now. And so I came back the next day, and I listened to people read the letters. I wrote them down. I went home, I memorized them. I went back and I got my license. And so I got it for 4 years. I didn't know it was going to expire. So then after 4 years, there was more than one teller, so I couldn't take that chance and I had to go to the doctor. And that's where I learned that I had been, that I was going blind and that I was already visually impaired legally, and that, but they said by the time I would be 40 years old, I would be completely blind. So I didn't say nothing to anybody and I just didn't believe it. And it took me 15 years to tell my counselor. As a matter of fact, I was threatened at work to get fired. I was a executive secretary for the auditors at the state, and I was making a lot of mistakes. And I was put on probation because I was going to get fired because I was making too many mistakes. So I confided in one of my auditors and he says, "Oh my God, what do you mean you can't see?" I said, "I can't see." So he called Commission for the Blind, set me an appointment, and if it wasn't for him, I would have not gone. He took me to my appointment at lunch and they did all the exams, and mentally I went blind that day because they told me I was blind. So it was something I was very hard because I just thought about my children. And I didn't know who was going to help me with my children. So, but my job was saved. They provided me so much help. And today, I'm very proud of my girls. They don't believe that I'm blind. That's the one thing. They say, "You did everything. Don't tell us that you're blind. You see only what you want to see." But it's because, you know, I just want them to be strong women and to never give up.
Well, thank you very much for sharing a very inspiring story. You have overcome many hurdles. I believe that is, and continue to do so, being on the Board of Education and a trustee. So congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
achievements and your continuing energy
Thank you.
to defy, as your children say, what may be medically true, that you're legally blind, but not to those around you. So a hearty congratulations to you. I'm going to ask if you will allow more questions. I'm going to see if we have questions for you. Mark, I again do not see the full. I do not see everyone on my screen. If you will help identify those with their hands up, please.
See, I don't see anybody right now. Terry Heller.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you, Ofelia, how incredibly beautiful it is to see your heart in all of this. Thank you for that. Thank you for having such an open heart. And I think that Superintendent of Schools, Superintendent of AISD, has a question for you. Stephanie, are you able to step on here? If she is unable to, it's funny, but there's a group of us. Ofelia, you don't know this. I'm up here in Wiscasset, Maine. It's not important to where, you know, where that might be exactly, but it's up here on the coast, and we did have snow this morning. I need you to know that. But I am heart and soul part of the oldest Lions Club in the world. And there's been some scuttlebutt here on the chat line, and everybody wants you to be a lion. Would you please be an Austin Founder Club's lion?
Oh, absolutely. What do I have to do?
Say yes.
Okay, that's easy. Yes.
Well,
I think
Terry,
your story is
yeah, Terry has verbalized what we're all thinking, not only asking or inviting you to become a Lion and a member of our Austin Founder Lions Club, but and we will be in touch with you. We don't need to go into the details now,
Okay,
but we will
Sure.
be in touch with you. And Terry, if I may ask a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Ofelia, in your growing up, you know, we in the Lions Club and we as Lions feel like our focus and our goal is to help and to try to work in the area where there is to prevent blindness and to support those with vision disabilities.
Mhm.
Did you, in your past experience, know about the Lions Club or reach out to any of the Lions Clubs for support?
For myself, no, but for my, I came there one time to a meeting there because I was doing free physicals at Eastside Memorial. And one of the stations I wanted to have vision, a booth so that students vision could be checked. Because I learned that AISD does not provide vision as testing in high school. They only provide it for elementary and middle school. So I did meet someone there, but we never are able to connect. I was a PTA and the PTA president and vice president for 4 years. And we had that free physicals for 3 years. And so that is a huge need for our students, because, you know, there are different assessments our students go through, like special ed and bilingual, but we also need to know about the vision. You know, I don't know how often or how you are connected with our district, but I know that in the high schools, even my grandson was one of the students that found out during the free physicals that he needed glasses, and he never ever said anything, and he might have what I have because he can't see at night, and he never would say anything. So so I think there's that need to see how we can ensure that students know that students are getting assessed in their vision and hearing, so that we can make sure that they are able to participate in the classroom and have a good education experience.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So we would be interested in pursuing that also, but let me see if we have other questions from our members at this time.
JP has his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mark and Rudy, and Ofelia, thank you very much for your openness and willingness to share your journey. I guess my question is, have you ever felt the need or investigated the possibility of obtaining a guide dog for your assistance? Has that been something you've considered?
I have not considered. I did go to Chris Cole for 9 months, and I was around people that had their guide dogs. I think the problem with me is that I kept it a secret so long and didn't begin blind training skills till late, you know, like in my 50s. I'm now 60. And so it's really hard. It's so hard to learn. It was exhausting. I mean, I need to go there like for a whole year. I couldn't learn Braille. I couldn't learn technology. You know, this Zoom technology was like very, very challenging during the campaign. You know, that was when I had to really start doing all this Zoom stuff, and it was very challenging. And I just, you know, I did ask my friends to help me, but it's a lot of stuff I need to learn and remember. I have a trainer right now helping me to learn how to do that, and he's completely blind. But he knows it by shortcut keys. And so I would have to learn all of that. And it's just really hard for me to do it all right now. And the dog it's a lot of work. I think I would have to commit to taking care of the dog and doing things with the dog. And I don't know, I can make that commitment, and I don't want to
I understand.
ignore
Well,
my dog, you know.
I just mentioned that as a possibility, that in case you had considered or might consider in the future, know
Yeah.
that the Lions across the US have several guide dog schools and raise guide dogs for needy people. And I saw Greg Dew on earlier, if Greg is still here. One of our newer members is a puppy trainer for the Leader Dog for the Blind organization up in Rochester, Michigan.
Wow.
And so we have a long association with the guide dog. Our favorite guide dog school is the Leader Dog School, though. Just mentioning that.
Yeah,
All
I
that
think,
is free.
yeah.
All that is free, right? JP,
Yes, that's what we
That's correct.
sponsor and support.
Wow. Well, I'll keep that in mind as I think when I finish my term and I'm ready to, to slow down. If that happens, I don't know, Robert. So then I might consider, it'll probably be a better time then, but thank you for that information.
Any other questions? Yeah. Again, I'm not able to see everyone on the screen, so.
Greg Thompson has his hand up.
Oh, okay.
Greg, you're muted. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Aside from being labeled clumsy, were there other specific comments or by teachers or actions by students that instilled the fear of revealing your blindness or your visual impairment to anyone else?
Well,
when you were in school?
Well, no, because well, see, I ran into a lot of people, so they thought I wanted to fight. They thought I was a bully because I was always running into people, and so there was a lot of that happening. I just run into crowds. I don't see where what's that way to get through the crowd, and I just ran into the crowd. Yeah, it was, I was looked at as a bully, I didn't mean, and I always said, I'm not a fighter. I don't want to fight. But no.
So you have, you've not used a white cane. I'm sure you know what a white cane is.
Yes. I have a white cane, and a lot of times I forget my white cane because I rely on, I am married again, and I even do that. So I rely on my husband, but yeah, I take it when I travel, especially so that people know, because that's the only way they know, right? And so I realized that's a safety thing for me. So when I travel to conferences, I serve on several boards, I do use my cane.
Well, our program today was on history, and there is a connection with the white cane, how that came about many years ago, and the Lions Club. So okay. Perhaps another nudge for you to consider, and it would be a good fit with you and the Lions Club.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Maybe one more question. Yeah, maybe one more question.
It's like Roberto has a question.
Well, I just, Ofelia, what projects, programs are you working there with the school district right now? You're fighting for. And I know the superintendent is there listening, but that's okay.
Well, as a trustee, we have, our role is to vote on governance, right? On governance policies and things like that. So what I do as is really what I'm doing in the community is as a trustee, but it's just ongoing work that had already started, except like the whole district too. I do monthly meetings with, it's called Lead with Love for our community and education. So we're doing that monthly so we can get everyone together and just kind of build that relationship and figure out strategies as a district, how we can work together to improve our schools. And so then I'm also organizing a Dia de los Niños to really celebrate children. We're doing it here in Dove Springs for our area here in the 78744, so that we can, to rebuild, reclaim, and restore our schools. We still have a lot of students not coming back to school. And so trying to figure out different ways to encourage students and parents to feel comfortable and safe that they can send the children back. We will be penalized big time by the state if we don't increase attendance. And so a lot of our students at home also, because of the challenges of depression, and we have a high domestic violence in the zip code, a lot of our students' education has been put on the back burner. So we're trying to put education at the center of everything that we do. So that's another big effort that I'm working with our schools.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, our time has caught up with us. And again, thank you to our speaker, Ofelia Zapata, trustee for the Austin AISD School Board. And so we wish you well, and we will be in contact with you concerning membership with our Austin Founder Lions Club.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank
and thank you
so
again.
much.
Thank you all. Yeah, have a blessed day.
Yeah, Roberto, thank you for arranging our speaker and making this possible today. I noticed in the background for Roberto is that we do have a guest, Alicia.
Well, she's
So,
leaving.
yeah, hello.
My wife is waiting.
Yeah, so we have Alicia Martinez as our guest at our meeting today. So Alicia, we wave to you, wish you well. Thank you for joining us today. All right, well, thank you so much. And let me take a moment to ask about next week's program. I believe Lion Ann Ward might have that program. Ann, are you there? And can you tell us about next week's program?
Thank you, Rudy. Next week, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to think outside the box. And what I've asked is we sent out an email last week, and Mark is going to share the form with you. This is your opportunity. If you've been thinking, oh, the Lions should do this new service activity, or we should try to raise money doing this new project, this is your time to get it on the table. This is an online form that you can fill out. Just a few little questions you answer. And what we're going to do next week, we're going to present these ideas anonymously. So you don't have to worry about being embarrassed if people don't like your idea. They won't know where it came from. Anyway, we're going to put these ideas, as many as we can. We're going to go through them real quickly, and we're going to use the polling feature in Zoom to get your reaction, whether it's thumbs up, we should spend some time and look into this, or thumbs down, I'm not interested, let's move on. So for next week to work, we need everybody to participate. So please suggest your ideas using this form, and we'll see what happens.
And the email that went out this last Friday on the 16th had a link to this form. There'll also be an email going out tomorrow with a link to the form and another reminder on next Wednesday. But please please, when you find that link, when you see that email with the link to it, please click on it and put some thought into it and provide your suggestions.
And
Great.
please provide them before Wednesday because I do need a little time to get it together.
Very good. All right, thank you, and look forward to next week's program and everyone's participation. Well, we are at the end of our agenda, and before we adjourn, let me again remind those that have signed up for tomorrow's Meals on Wheels to please join us about 8:30. And if I may, let me look at the chat again. The chat has two that are volunteering their vest tomorrow. I believe Chuck and Sid, if I'm reading this correctly, have a vest. And so I will be in, if that's the case, I will be in touch with you later this afternoon and make arrangements to see if we can have those and available for our volunteers tomorrow. All right, and so we had lots of folks participating or joining us today. We had 31 in our meeting today. So thank you all for joining us. And we are at a point where we've enjoyed the meeting, but it's time to move on and do other things today. So for now, we are now adjourning this meeting. And thank you all for joining us. Y'all have a good day then.
Rudy.